What's up? Today we're finally going to be trying to get the RB back together again. I've now got the crank back from the workshop, as you saw in the last video. I had to take that back to the machine shop to get a new oil pump collar fitted to it, one that's going to give me better engagement on the oil pump. So we've got that back now. So the only thing left to do is to start putting this thing back together. Got all the bearings for it, got lube for it. I've got the torque specs for it, although I don't have a torque wrench with a degree wheel on it, so that could be a bit tricky. I do have a torque wrench, just not one with a degree wheel, so we'll have to see how I go about that one. So yeah, today, putting this thing back together, so hopefully it's all sealed up, don't have to worry about it, the internals anymore, and then I can start focusing on the outside before it goes back in the car. There's one other thing that I might need to do today, or in a future video, which is to basically put the running gear back on the front of the Laurel. The reason for that, I'll talk about in a separate video, but it's all exciting stuff, so let's get on with it. So as you can see, the machine shop have put the new collar on it now for the oil pump, which means it should have much better engagement on the oil pump at higher RPMs now, which means it shouldn't start eating itself at any point and failing. Right, so I guess the first job, after I've got some gloves on, it's freezing today, and also I'm particularly want to be getting lube all over my hands, is to get the old bearings out of there. There's some crank bearings, some conrod bearings that need to be taken out as well, and then we can start putting new ones in before we start looking at putting the crank back in there, getting the engine back together. Engine cover's only been off at 5 minutes and there's already fluff floating in there. Right, so let's get these out. There we go. We'll start with the crank bearings and work down to the trickier ones in a minute. I say tricky because I'm trying not to push the pistons back down into the engine if I can. I want them to stay where they were when I took the crank out, so that as it goes back together it should all line up with top dead centre. I mean, obviously there are ways and means of getting top dead centre again once you've got the crank in there, but if I can make things easier for myself, I will. So, let's give that a go. Huh. Pretty sure that side of the bearing material is not supposed to have lube on it, but yeah, we'll give it a clean up in a sec. No, maybe not. They were just in. That was just in the middle, that one. So it's a good thing that I left the bearings on the cradle when I took it out. So if you look, you can see there the one with the focus. You can see the one with the sidewall on it. So that goes in the middle there. Everything else is just a simple flat bearing. By the way, this is the first time I've actually dug this deep into an engine. I am enjoying it, but it's a bit of a learning experience for me, so if I do anything wrong, please let me know in the comments. If you know of better ways to do things, let me know in the comments, and then I can either address that now, or if I ever build it, well, there will be times when I build an engine again in the future, I can address it then as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bearings in first and then lube them up, since this is where they're going to sit. Oh, nice little clip there, like that. I'll just work outwards as I go. Okay. Wasn't so much of a satisfying click with that one, unfortunately, but just can't have everything. No. Make sure they're all in place. Right, I'm going to lube everything up once I've put the bearings into the con rods as well. Just because if I start putting lube on now, what's going to happen is my hands are going to start getting, well, my gloves are going to start getting greasy. I'm not going to be able to grip things properly. I'm not going to be able to make sure the bearings are properly seated. Well, same again, they've got a little tab on one side to locate them properly. So just make sure that's sitting in the right place. The difficult part here is obviously the piston is going to move. That is nice and flush, really good. See now, we've all got the bearings in there, all seated properly. The next step is to lube all this up before I sit the crank in there, and then start putting the other side back together, the cradle and everything else. In fact, what I might do is before I put anything in here, I might put the bearings onto the cradle so that's done, and then we can look at putting the engine back together then. I don't know if I'm even pointing the camera at me. If I'm not, then I'm sorry. We've got the new bearings there. Just got to take the old ones out of the cradle after I've had a slurp of tea. Right, so push and then they pop out. It's actually quite easy to do this. The hard part is getting all the torque specs right and everything, and making sure everything's properly lubed so that it goes back together and doesn't need to come apart again later. In fairness, these bearings, they're still in good shape, as you can probably tell there. There's no like scoring on them or anything, nothing deep. The only reason I'm replacing them is because while the engine's apart, it just makes sense to do it, rather than put it all back together as is on the cheap and then find that it spins a bearing later on. So that one was in this. Which is the front, which is the back? And that's the front. Aye, there is. So, oh, actually they've all got grooves on them. Huh, interesting. I think before I start putting the bearings back together in here, I should double check which way around this goes in the car. 7, 6, okay, so they've got, right, so they've got numbers on here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to double check it though. I think 1 is at the front. Okay, so it looks like it will only go back in one way, which is good. So that's the way it came out of the car. So 1 is the front, as I thought. It's always a big help when things only go back in a certain way, because it helps you to remember, especially when you've had the engine apart for a few weeks like I have. It helps you to remember which way around everything goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where the big one goes. Oh, it's got my glove. Get off. Ooh. Thankfully, didn't hit the floor, just landed on a plastic box underneath. Try again, this time not nipping the glove. There we go. Bearings in the cradle now. Next job, I'll put the bearings into the end caps for the conrods, and then we can start looking at reassembling everything. I'll put this to one side for the minute. These are old bearings here, so put them in this bag if I can find a way in. That way they're not getting mixed up with the new ones. Should probably go in the bin at the end of today. So I'm moving the cardboard because if you look, I've got everything numbered on here already. The cardboard is a bit dirty, so I might need to have to clean things as I go a bit, but we'll deal with that as we get to it. I also need to get that washer out of there because I've got a new one. I'll sorry, seal out of there because I've got a new one for it. In fact, if you look, it's pretty much flat against it, so I'm going to sneeze. Right. There we go. Got a bit more space now, so 1 through 6, that's for each of the pistons. So put them back in the same order. Shouldn't have any problems. So that's all of the end caps done for the con rods. Do that separately, that can sit to one side for now. And then we'll focus on the rotating assembly at the moment. There we go. Yes, I did just use my teeth to take that cap off. Not the best idea, but it worked. So now
suppose it's tricky because you've got to get it in the right orientation for each rod.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Right. I think it's mainly
that's lowest, isn't it? Yeah. Right, hold on. What you'll have to do is go nose down.
Yep.
Oh shit. The bearings on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, a bit more. That's it. Oh.
It's stuck. Yeah.
Trying to fucking scratch anything.
No, exactly.
Up a little bit. It's going to be this last one will be tricky.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep
I'm
going.
getting caught on something.
Right. Now we've lost that one.
Ah, bollocks. Right. Go on.
Yeah, go. That one good?
I think so.
Right. We'll have to watch how they go now. You're in your main bearings, so
yeah. So I think it's just pulling them to meet.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that's got the right orientation on it first. So that should be fine.
Yeah, don't rotate it too much because your valves will be. That's just compression. Yeah, sweet. What you want to do now then is get your rod caps on.
Yeah.
And just slowly get them to mate together.
That does look like it slips there actually.
Yeah, they've popped out.
Oh fuck. So I'm gonna have to undo it all.
That's what you were getting stuck on. Maybe not. It depends how tight you've done all those nuts.
I'll loosen them off now because they're on the finger tight. It seems to only be those first couple that have come out. Everything else seems to be okay. I've loosened them off so you should be able to move it if you need to.
Right, there's one.
Must be next door.
There you go.
Like
The crank's sat down properly now as well.
Oh, nice.
Is it just those?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And you've got your thrust bearings in the right place, yeah?
Yeah.
That should be it then.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like another piece of footage has gone missing here where I was torquing down all the bolts for the end caps and then the cradle. Got it all done in the end without using a degree wheel. Basically, we had a degree finder in the workshop. So based off a specified point where we put the torque wrench, we went from 65 degrees from that point, or 60. I think it was either 60 or 65. I can't remember. So the ones that needed that, we've got them torqued as they should be now. The next step was to start preparing the oil pan to go back on. So I'll show you that now. in the last clips, you saw me start to get the oil pan ready to go back onto the engine. One of the things that we had to do was to try and bash out some of the damage to the pan, but I didn't really inspect the damage fully. I was probably tired or something. And it's quite a lot worse than I first thought, so I'll quickly show you now. So if you look at it from this side, it does look, let's focus first. If you look at it from this side, it doesn't look too bad. It's a bit dented in the middle. I have managed to knock some of it out. But if we come round here, then you can see there's quite a bad crease just there, which does seem to come up. So the problem with that is that it's not really going to be feasible to knock that out. You could take the baffle out of the pan and then bash it back into shape, but the amount of hammering it's going to take to get that out, and this crease here as well, it would weaken the actual integrity of the oil pan. I don't particularly want to do that, so what I did was I went home last night, actually a couple of nights ago now, and got online and just started searching for replacement oil pans. It's surprising how difficult it is to find one, considering the pan is the same for an RB20 and RB25. But I did manage to find one, and it was a reasonable price as well, and here it is. As you can see, it's in much better condition. In fact, there's actually no damage on it except for a little bit up here, where it looks like somebody's tried jacking the engine in the wrong point, or jacking the car at the wrong point. But that's not actually going to affect the oil pickup or anything like that. The rest of the pan is pretty much perfect, just needs a clean up and some paint, and then we can get that on the car today. The other thing as well that I need to do is to get the engine off of the stand temporarily so that I can put back on the rear main seal. Unfortunately, because of the way this stand is, you can't get the rear main in there while it's on the stand, so I need to take that off, put it back onto the engine crane, put the rear main back on, put it back onto the stand, and then I can put the pan back on. But first things first, I need a broom. Sweet. So that's the face all clean now. Just got to wash out the pan itself, get all the debris out of it, and then we can look at the other side. I use. Okay. Well, now that's going to help the paint, but got the motor back upside down again. I'm leaving it this way for now just because it'll be easier to put the oil pan back on than trying to lift it up from underneath and then accidentally smearing the gasket all over the place and causing myself more headaches when I can just use gravity to hold it down while I tighten everything up. As you can see, the rear main seal's on now. You saw them put that back on in the last clip. I'm not sure how clear that was, but yeah, it's done now. So yeah, the next step is to put the oil pan back on. Right, before I can put this on there, I need to first put some gasket on it. Using liquid stuff again because it's cheaper and easier than buying a paper gasket. For some reason, paper oil pan gaskets for RBs are like 50 odd quid. Don't ask me why people are charging that, but they are. So this works out better in the long run for me, and to be honest I think it gives a bit of a better seal. It's just a bit of a faff getting it out, that's all. There we go. All pans back on now, all bolts tightened down. Wiped off all the silicone that's squirted out from around the edges. There wasn't a lot, to be fair, it was literally just tiny little bits here and there where I probably put a bit too much on, but thankfully it squirted out this way, which was what I was trying to do anyway. I was trying to wipe it away from the pan, so it kind of, the thinnest part was on the inside of the pan working outwards, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but anyway. Yeah, it's all nicely sealed. I feel it all squishing as I was going down as well, so yeah. So that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Next one is going to be tearing down all the manifolds and stuff, taking everything off the side of the block so that I can start cleaning that up ready for paint. See you next time. Bye.